The Zorath Empire had no equal in the known galaxy. For more than 200 years, their fleets moved from system to system like a dark wave. Every species they met either joined them or disappeared. Their ships were huge, black, and covered in sharp edges that looked like teeth. Their weapons burned through shields as if those shields were made of paper. No one knew where the Zorath came from at first. Some said they rose from a dead world deep in the core of the galaxy. Others said they were not born, but built, cold machines wrapped in living skin. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. World after world fell. On the green planet of Vara 9, the end came fast. The people there had tall crystal cities that caught the light of their two suns. They had peaceful ships and strong friends among nearby systems. When the first Zorath scout ships appeared at the edge of their star system, the Vara sent messages of welcome. 3 days later, a battle group of 30 cruisers arrived. The Vara fleet met them in open space. Bright beams crossed the black void. Vara ships broke apart one by one, their pieces floating like broken glass. The Zorath did not stop to take prisoners. They moved straight to the planet. Orbital stations burned and fell in long streaks of fire. Cities on the surface turned to ash under heavy bombardment. In less than 1 week, Vara 9 belonged to the Empire. The few survivors were taken away in chains. No one ever saw them again. Stories like this spread through the galaxy. Traders carried tales from port to port. Diplomats whispered in quiet rooms. Everyone knew the name Admiral Krazor. He led the main invasion fleets. Tall, with skin like dark steel, and eyes that glowed yellow, he stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fang. He never smiled, he never raised his voice. He simply gave orders, and worlds died. Under his command, the Zorath took 12 systems in 10 years. They built new shipyards on captured planets. They trained new soldiers from the strongest of the conquered races. Their numbers grew. Their weapons became sharper. The Empire seemed unstoppable. Far from all this death and fire, humanity lived quietly. Earth and its colonies sat on the edge of known space. Humans had spread to 30 worlds, but they kept to themselves. They traded a little. They explored a little. They fought small wars among their own colonies from time to time, but nothing big. Most humans did not even know the name Zorath. The news from distant stars took months or years to reach them. When it did arrive, people listened, shook their heads, and went back to their daily lives. Captain Samuel Blake knew more than most. He commanded the USS Horizon, a fast warship built for long patrols. The Horizon was not the biggest ship in the human fleet. It carried only 50 crew members. Its hull was gray and worn from years of travel. But it had good engines, strong sensors, and a captain who listened to everything. Samuel was 42 years old. He had short brown hair, calm blue eyes, and a voice that never hurried. He grew up on Mars, worked his way up through the ranks, and earned respect because he cared about his people. He did not shout orders. He explained them. His crew followed him because they trusted him. One quiet night on the bridge, Samuel sat in his chair and watched the stars slide past. The ship moved through deep space between two empty systems. Lieutenant Grace Turner stood at the tactical station. She was young, 28, with quick hands and sharper eyes. She handled weapons and shields better than anyone Samuel had ever met. Beside her, engineer Lucas Ford checked power readings on a small screen. Lucas was short and always smiled, even when things went wrong. He could fix almost anything with a few tools and some wire. A soft beep broke the silence. Grace looked at her console. "Captain, incoming signal. It's weak, but it's repeating. Comes from bearing 047, Mark 12. Samuel leaned forward. "Source?" Old probe network. One of the early ones we sent out 30 years ago. It's very far out, near the edge of the Orion Arm. Play it, Samuel said. The message was short and broken. A voice from another species, calm but afraid, spoke in standard trade language. To any who hear this, the Zorath come. They have taken Karis, then Lorne, then 3 more worlds. Their fleet numbers in the hundreds. They move toward the human border. Warn your people, there is little time. The message looped again, then static. Grace turned to Samuel. That probe is almost at the limit of its power. It won't send again. If the Zorath are coming this way, they'll hit our outer colonies first. Maybe in months, maybe sooner. Samuel stood up. He walked to the main view screen and stared at the stars. We need more information. Grace, pull every scrap of data we have on Zorath activity. Lucas, make sure the engines are ready for a hard run. We're changing course. Where to, sir? Grace asked. Straight toward the signal. If they're coming, we need to see them before they see us. The horizon turned slowly. Its engines hummed louder. The ship picked up speed. Inside, the crew felt the change. They knew something big was starting. Some felt fear. Others felt excitement. All of them trusted their captain. Days passed. The ship moved deeper into unknown space. Sensors picked up faint traces, radiation from destroyed ships, debris fields that should not be there. Grace found fragments of battle records in the wreckage. Each one told the same story. Zorath ships appeared without warning. They attacked without mercy. They left nothing behind. One morning the alarms sounded. Red lights flashed across the bridge. Grace's voice cut through the noise. Contact. Multiple large signatures, closing fast. They matched Zorath profiles. Samuel walked to her station. The screen showed shapes, long, sharp, black. 12 cruisers in tight formation. Behind them, smaller shapes that looked like fighters. They moved with purpose. They haven't seen us yet, Grace said. We're behind that nebula cloud. We have maybe 20 minutes. Samuel looked at the enemy fleet. His face stayed calm. Inside, his mind raced. Retreat and warn Earth, or stay and learn everything possible. He thought of the message from the probe. Little time. Take us closer, he said, but keep us hidden. I want clear scans of their ships, weapons, and command signals. If we're going to meet them someday, I want to know what we're facing. A horizon slipped forward like a shadow. The Zorath fleet passed by, unaware. Their engines glowed red. Their hulls carried fresh scars from recent battles. On the largest ship, the Iron Fang, Admiral Krazer stood on his bridge. He looked at a star map. A new target glowed in the center, a system called Sol, human space. Krazer spoke one word. Soon. Far behind, hidden in the nebula, the USS Horizon watched. 50 humans against an empire that had never lost. The first small step had begun. The USS Horizon was not built to fight giant fleets. It was made for long trips into deep space, to map new stars, to carry scientists, and to watch the borders of human space. Its hull was long and smooth, painted dull gray, so it would not shine too much against the black of space. Inside, the corridors were narrow, the rooms small, and every corner filled with pipes, wires, and blinking lights. 50 people lived and worked on this ship. They ate together, trained together, and trusted each other like family. That trust would soon be tested more than ever before. Captain Samuel Blake stood on the bridge and looked at the main screen. The 12 Zorath cruisers had passed by hours ago. Their engines still left faint red trails in the sensors. Samuel had not slept since the first alarm. His eyes were tired, but his mind stayed sharp. He turned to Lieutenant Grace Turner. She sat at her station, with her dark hair tied back tight. Her fingers moved fast over the controls as she studied the enemy ships. What did we learn? Samuel asked. Grace did not look up right away. She finished one last scan, then spoke. Their ships are bigger than anything we have seen. Each cruiser is about 3 times the size of the Horizon. Their armor looks thick, but it has weak spots near the engine vents. Weapons are energy-based, hot beams that cut through metal fast. They use a lot of power for shields, so maybe their reactors run hot. If we can overload them, the shields might drop. Engineer Lucas Ford walked onto the bridge. He carried a small tablet and wiped grease from his hands with a rag. His face was red from working in the hot engine room. Captain, I pulled some data from the probe wreckage we passed yesterday. The Zorath use a central command signal. All their ships listen to one main ship at a time. If we break that signal, even for a minute, they get confused. Samuel nodded slowly. Keep that in mind. We might need it later. He looked around the bridge. The other crew members were quiet. They knew what was coming. The Zorath were heading toward human space. If no one stopped them, Earth and the colonies would face the same fate as Vara 9 and all the other lost worlds. The Horizon was the only human ship close enough to do anything. Retreat was the smart choice. Warn the fleet. Get help. But Samuel knew that by the time help arrived, many people could die. He made his choice in silence. Set course to follow them, he said. Stay at maximum safe distance. We shadow them. We watch. We wait for the right moment. Grace raised an eyebrow. Sir, that means we go straight into their path. If they spot us, then we fight, Samuel finished. But first, we learn. Every piece of information we get could save lives back home. The ship turned. Its engines pushed hard. The Horizon was fast for its size, and its stealth systems were good. It slipped behind a cloud of dust left by an old supernova. The Zorath fleet did not notice. They moved forward like hunters who had never been hunted. Days passed in tense quiet. The crew worked in shifts. Some slept little. Others talked in low voices about home. A young technician named Brian Cole showed pictures of his daughter to anyone who would look. She was 5 years old and lived on Luna Colony. He wanted to see her again. Everyone felt the same pull. Family, friends, a normal life far away. But duty kept them here. One afternoon the sensors lit up again. Grace called out, Captain, the Zorath fleet is slowing. They are approaching an old mining station. Looks abandoned, but there are life signs, maybe survivors from a previous attack. Samuel walked to her station. The screen showed a small gray asteroid base floating alone. Its lights were dim. A few weak signals came from inside. People hiding, afraid. They are going to take it, Lucas said. Standard procedure. They strip everything useful, then destroy what they can't use. Samuel clenched his jaw. We can't let that happen. Not if we can stop it. Grace looked at him. Sir, we are one ship. They have 12 cruisers and support fighters. We go in, we don't come out. I know, Samuel said. But if we do nothing, those people die. And we lose our chance to see how the Zorath fight up close. We need to test our weapons against theirs. He turned to the crew. All hands to battle stations. Quiet running. We approach from the dark side of the asteroid. Grace, prepare railguns and missiles. Lucas, boost the shields and get the engines ready for emergency speed. We hit fast, we hit hard, then we run. The bridge filled with soft clicks and beeps. Lights dimmed to red. Everyone moved with purpose. No one complained. They trusted their captain. The Horizon crept closer. It used the asteroid's shadow to hide. The Zorath cruisers stopped at a safe distance. Smaller landing craft detached and flew toward the mining station. Inside the base, a handful of survivors, miners and engineers from a lost colony, waited with old rifles and no hope. Samuel watched the screen. Wait for the landing craft to touch down. Then we strike the closest cruiser. Target their engines. One good hit, then we pull back. Time stretched. The landing craft landed. Zorath troops in heavy black armor stepped out. Then Samuel gave the order. Fire! The Horizon's railguns roared. Solid slugs of metal shot out at high speed. They crossed the distance in seconds. The first slug hit the rear of the nearest Zorath cruiser. Sparks flew. Metal bent. A second slug followed, then a third. The cruiser's engine flared bright red, then exploded in a silent fireball. Pieces spun away into space. Alarms screamed on the Zorath ships. Their formation broke. The other cruisers turned toward the new threat. Grace smiled for the first time in days. Direct hit. Their shields were down on that side. They didn't expect us. Lucas shouted from engineering. Shields holding at 80%. Engines hot, but good. Samuel kept his voice steady. Evasive pattern Delta. Take us behind the asteroid. Let them chase. The Horizon moved like a dart. Zorath beams lit up space around it. One beam grazed the hull. Alarms sounded. A small fire started in a side compartment, but damage teams put it out fast. The Zorath were angry now. Admiral Krazer stood on his bridge and stared at the small gray ship that dared to attack. His yellow eyes narrowed. One human vessel, he said in a low voice. Destroy it. The chase began. The Horizon twisted through rocks and dust. Its small size let it turn sharper than the big cruisers. Grace fired missiles in quick bursts. Two hit another cruiser, cracking its armor. Lucas rerouted power again and again to keep the shields alive. For 20 minutes the fight went on. The Horizon took hits. Lights flickered. Air smelled of smoke. But it gave as good as it got. Another Zorath fighter exploded. A third cruiser slowed, leaking air. Then Samuel saw his chance. Full burn. Get us out of here. Maximum speed toward the nebula. The engines screamed. The Horizon shot forward. The Zorath fired one last volley, but the ship slipped into the thick dust cloud. Sensors went blind for both sides. The humans were gone. On the bridge, people breathed hard. Some cheered quietly. Others sat in silence, thinking of how close death had come. Samuel looked at his crew. We hurt them. We showed them we can fight. Now they know humans are here, and we know we can hit back. Grace wiped sweat from her face. What now, Captain? Samuel stared at the fading enemy signals on the screen. We keep following. We keep watching. Because if we stop now, everything we just did means nothing. The USS Horizon slipped deeper into the dark. One small ship against an empire. The real battle was only beginning. The nebula clouds swallowed the USS Horizon like thick fog. Inside the dust and gas, sensors barely worked. The ship drifted slowly, engines on low power to stay quiet. Smoke still hung in the corridors from the small fire earlier. Crew members moved fast to fix broken panels and patch holes in the hull. Everyone knew the Zorath were angry now. One small human ship had dared to strike them and run. That kind of insult did not happen often to the Empire. Captain Samuel Blake sat in his chair on the bridge. His hands rested on the armrests. He looked calm, but his mind worked hard. The quick attack on the mining station had worked. They saved the survivors and hurt the enemy. But now the Zorath would hunt them. 12 cruisers, plus fighters, against one tired warship. The odds were bad. Still, Samuel refused to run home yet. He needed to know more about how these invaders fought. Lieutenant Grace Turner studied her screen. The nebula blocked most signals, but she caught faint echoes. They are spreading out, she said, sending scout ships in pairs. They want to find us before we slip away. Engineer Lucas Ford came up from below decks. His shirt was dirty, and he carried a tool belt. Shields are back to 70%. Engines can give us another hard run if we need it. But we took damage to the port side railgun. It's down to half power. Samuel nodded. We stay hidden for now. Let them waste time searching. While they look, we plan. He called the senior officers to a small meeting room behind the bridge. Only 5 people fit around the table: Samuel, Grace, Lucas, the navigation officer named Karen Lee, and the weapons chief, Daniel Ross. They sat close. The air smelled of coffee and metal. "We hit them once," Samuel started. "We can do it again. But we need a better plan. Grace, what did you see in their formation?" Grace pulled up a simple map on her tablet. "They keep a tight group around the flagship. That big one in the center is probably Admiral Kraser's ship. The others protect it like a wall. If we can draw some away, we might get a clear shot at the flagship." Lucas leaned forward. "Their command signal is the key. I saw it in the old probe data. All ships link to one central relay. It's not on the flagship. It's on a smaller ship that stays back. If we knock that out, their fleet loses coordination. They start making mistakes." Daniel crossed his arms. "We have 4 good missiles left with high-yield warheads. 2 EMP types that Lucas modified. We could use those on the relay ship." Karen looked worried. "But to reach it, we have to go through their fighters, and the nebula won't hide us forever." Samuel listened to each one. Then he spoke. "We do not need to win today. We need to hurt them enough to slow them down. Buy time for Earth to prepare. We feint, we strike, we disappear. Hit and run until they fear us." The plan formed fast. They would wait until the Zorath scouts came close. Then the Horizon would break cover, attack one scout pair, and pull back toward a dense part of the nebula. The enemy would follow. While they chased, a small team in a shuttle would slip out the other side and hunt the relay ship. It was risky. If the shuttle got caught, those people died. But it was their best chance. Night shift came. The crew ate quick meals and checked weapons one more time. Ryan Cole, the young technician, sat alone in the mess hall. He held a small photo of his daughter. He whispered to it, "I'm coming home, kiddo." Then he went back to work. The sensors pinged. 2 Zorath scouts entered the nebula. They moved slow, scanning. Grace watched them. "They are close. 5 minutes until they spot us." Samuel stood. "All hands, battle stations. Quiet as possible." The lights dimmed red again. Hearts beat fast. The horizon waited like a wolf in tall grass. The scouts came nearer. Their beams swept the dust. One beam passed close to the ship. Alarms whispered. Then Samuel gave the order. "Fire!" The working railgun sent a stream of slugs. They hit one scout dead center. The small ship broke in half. The second scout turned to fight. It fired energy beams that lit up the nebula in bright flashes. The horizon rolled hard. One beam grazed the hull. Sparks flew inside. A console exploded. Daniel yelled, "Shields at 40!" Grace returned fire. Missiles streaked out. The second scout tried to dodge, but took a direct hit. It spun away, leaking plasma. "Pull back," Samuel ordered. The horizon accelerated. It raced deeper into the nebula. Behind it, the Zorath fleet reacted. Cruisers turned. Fighters launched in waves. Admiral Kraser watched from his bridge. His voice was cold. "They think they can play games. Send everything. I want that ship in pieces." The chase grew wild. The horizon twisted through gas clouds and rock fragments. Grace used every trick she knew, dropping decoy signals, changing course fast, hiding in magnetic storms. The Zorath fired blindly. Beams missed by meters. One cruiser hit an asteroid and cracked open. The Empire lost another ship to its own haste. In the shuttle bay, Grace prepared to leave. She would pilot the small craft with 2 others, Daniel and a medic named Olivia Grant. They carried the EMP torpedoes. The plan was simple. While the horizon drew the main fleet, the shuttle would circle wide and strike the relay ship. Samuel met Grace at the bay door. "Be careful," he said. "Get in, hit it, get out." Grace gave a small smile. "We'll be back before dinner, Captain." The shuttle launched quiet. It slipped away while the horizon made noise, firing guns, flashing lights, anything to keep eyes on it. The main fight grew hotter. Zorath fighters swarmed. The Horizon's point defense guns spat fire. Small explosions bloomed all around. Lucas worked miracles in engineering. He pulled power from non-essential systems to keep shields alive. The ship shook with every hit. Metal groaned. Air pressure dropped in one section. Teams sealed it fast. Samuel stood firm. Keep them angry. Keep them chasing. On the other side of the nebula, Grace's shuttle drifted dark. No engines, no signals. They floated like debris. The relay ship sat back from the fight, guarded by only 4 fighters. It was smaller than the cruisers, round with a tall antenna. Grace whispered, "Target locked. Torpedoes ready." She fired both EMPs. They streaked silent. The fighters saw them too late. One exploded. The other tried to intercept, but missed. The torpedoes hit the relay ship. Bright blue light flashed. The antenna sparked and died. The ship went dark. Across the nebula, Zorath ships faltered. Orders stopped coming. Cruisers turned in different directions. Fighters flew into each other. Confusion spread like fire. Krazer roared on his bridge. "What is happening? Report." No answer came. His fleet was blind. The Horizon saw the change. Grace's voice came over the comm, short and quick. "Relay down. We're heading back." Samuel allowed himself one breath. "Good work. Everyone, full speed to extraction point." The ship turned. It broke from the fight. Zorath vessels tried to follow, but moved slow, unsure. The Horizon slipped away again, into the deep black. On the bridge, the crew looked at each other. Tired faces, bruised hands, but eyes bright with something new. Hope. They had not won yet, but for the first time, the Zorath felt fear. One human warship had made them bleed, and the battle was far from over. The USS Horizon emerged from the far side of the nebula like a ghost slipping out of smoke. Its hull was scarred black in places. Small lights flickered where systems struggled to stay online. Inside, the air felt thick and hot. Crew members moved with slow steps. Some had bandages on arms or heads. Everyone was tired, but no one talked about giving up. They had just broken the Zorath command link. Now the enemy fleet moved like a blind giant, strong, but lost. Captain Samuel Blake stood on the bridge. He had not sat down for hours. His shirt stuck to his back with sweat. He looked at the main screen. The Zorath cruisers drifted in loose groups. Some fired at shadows. Others bumped into each other. Fighters circled without clear orders. The confusion gave the humans a small window. Samuel knew they had to use it fast. Lieutenant Grace Turner returned from the shuttle bay. Her face was smudged with grease. She walked straight to her station. "We're all safe. The EMP hit clean. Their relay is dead. No more central control." Engineer Lucas Ford followed her in. He looked more tired than anyone. "We lost one engine nacelle in the last hit. Power is down 20%. But I can squeeze more speed if we shut off non-critical systems. Life support in the back sections, maybe." Samuel turned to them. "We're not done yet. They still have numbers. If we let them regroup, they will come for us again. We need to finish what we started." He pulled up a simple map of the area. A large gas giant sat nearby. Its rings were thick with ice and rock. The planet's strong magnetic field would mess with sensors even more. It was the perfect place for a trap. "Here," Samuel said, pointing at the rings. "We go in deep, use the rocks for cover, draw as many as we can inside, then we hit them where it hurts." Grace studied the map. Their big ships are slow in tight spaces. Fighters will follow, but we can pick them off one by one. "What about the flagship? Krazer won't chase easy." "That's why we make it personal," Samuel replied. "We send a tight beam message. Challenge him. Tell him one human ship is waiting. He won't resist. Pride will pull him in." "You're going to poke the bear." Lucas gave a small laugh. "Exactly," Samuel said. "And when he charges, we spring the trap." The crew prepared fast. They shut down lights in empty sections to save power. They moved spare parts to the working railgun. They loaded the last 2 high-yield missiles. Grace programmed decoys, small probes that would mimic the horizon signal and scatter in different directions. The idea was to split the enemy even more. Before they moved, Samuel spoke to the whole ship over the intercom. His voice was calm and clear. "Everyone, listen. We have hurt them bad today. They thought no one could stand against them. We proved them wrong. Now we finish this. Not for medals, not for glory, for the people back home who are counting on us. For every world they burned. We fight as one. Hold tight. We're going in." No cheers came, just quiet nods. People checked their stations one more time. Brian Cole tightened a panel in engineering. He thought of his daughter again. Then he smiled and kept working. The horizon accelerated toward the gas giant. It sent the challenge message on an open channel. The words were short. "Admiral Krazer, this is Captain Samuel Blake of the human ship Horizon. You hunt us. Come get us. We wait in the rings, one ship against your empire. Prove you are not afraid." The message reached the Iron Fang. Admiral Krazer stood on his bridge. His yellow eyes burned. Around him, officers waited in silence. He stared at the small dot on his screen. Then he spoke one word. "All ships, follow me. No mercy." Half the Zorath fleet turned toward the gas giant. The flagship led. Its engines flared bright red. Cruisers and fighters followed in a long line. They entered the outer rings. Rocks the size of houses floated everywhere. The big ships had to slow down. They pushed through carefully. The horizon waded deeper in. It hid behind a thick band of ice particles. Grace watched the enemy approach. They took the bait. Flagship is in the middle. 10 cruisers close. Fighters spreading out. Samuel gave the first order. "Launch decoys." Small probes shot away in 4 directions. Each one sent fake signals. The Zorath sensors lit up with multiple targets. Fighters chased shadows. Some cruisers turned to follow the wrong ones. "Now," Samuel said. The horizon moved. It darted between rocks. Its railgun fired short bursts. Slugs punched through a fighter wing. 3 small ships exploded in quick flashes. Grace targeted a cruiser's engine vents. A missile streaked out. The cruiser listed to one side, leaking fire. The Zorath fired back. Beams cut through the rings. Ice chunks vaporized in bright bursts. One beam hit the horizon's flank. The ship rocked hard. Alarms screamed. Lucas shouted over comms. "Hull breach on deck 3. Sealing now." Damage teams ran. They worked fast. Sparks flew as they welded plates shut. The ship kept moving. Samuel pushed harder. "Take us closer to the flagship. Use the rings for cover." The horizon twisted through narrow gaps. Rocks scraped the hull. Metal groaned. Grace fired again. Another cruiser took heavy damage. It drifted dead in space. Krazer saw his fleet breaking apart. His voice rose. "Close the net. Crush them." His ships tried to surround the horizon, but the rings made it hard. Big cruisers could not turn fast. One hit a large rock. Its nose crumpled. Another fired wild and hit its own fighter. The humans used every trick. Zorath fighters flew into the blasts. Explosions bloomed like flowers in the dark. Lucas rerouted power one last time. Shields flickered back to life for a few minutes. Grace locked onto the flagship. Missile away, last high yield. The missile flew straight. The Iron Fang raised shields, but the EMP from earlier had weakened their systems. The missile hit the forward section. A huge hole opened. Air and debris poured out. The flagship slowed. Krazer gripped his command chair. "No," he whispered, "not like this." The horizon circled back. Its railgun hammered the damaged flagship. Slugs tore armor. Secondary explosions lit the rings. The Iron Fang listed badly. The remaining Zorath ships saw their leader fall. Without orders, some turned to run, others froze. The humans pressed the attack. Grace's guns never stopped. Lucas kept the engines alive through sheer will. One by one, the enemy broke. Fighters scattered into the black. The rings filled with burning wrecks. The horizon floated among the ruins, its lights dim, its guns silent at last. The crew looked at the screen. No more red contacts, only debris and quiet. Samuel let out a long breath. Stand down, damage reports. Voices came in, wounded but alive. The ship was hurt bad, but it still flew. Grace turned to Samuel. We did it. They're running. Samuel looked at the stars beyond the rings. Not all of them, but enough. They won't forget this day. Far away, surviving Zorath ships jumped to hyperspace. Admiral Kraser's voice came over an open channel one last time. It was weak. This is not over, human. We will return. Samuel did not answer. He knew the Empire was wounded. Word of this fight would spread. Other worlds would hear. They would fight too. The horizon turned slowly. It headed toward home. Engines limped, but the crew stood tall. They had faced the unstoppable and made it stop. One warship, 50 people, and the galaxy would never be the same. The USS Horizon limped away from the gas giant's rings. Smoke trailed behind it in thin wisps that soon vanished into the black. The ship's hull looked like it had been through a storm of fire and rock. Deep scratches ran along its sides. One engine glowed unevenly, flickering like a dying star. Inside, red emergency lights stayed on because normal power was too weak. The crew moved slowly through the corridors. Some leaned on walls for support. Others carried stretchers with wounded friends, but no one complained. They had done what no one thought possible. Captain Samuel Blake walked the bridge with careful steps. His left arm hung in a sling from a piece of falling metal during the last hit. He refused to sit. He stood near the main screen and watched the stars. The Zorath wrecks floated far behind like broken toys. No more red enemy signals blinked on the sensors. The empire that had swallowed worlds without pause had just lost half its battle group to one small human ship. Lieutenant Grace Turner sat at her station. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. She sent out the final damage report, and a short message burst toward Earth. The message carried sensor logs, battle recordings, and one clear line. Zorath fleet broken. Horizon still flying, coming home. She looked up at Samuel. It will take weeks for the signal to reach High Command, but when it does, they will know. Engineer Lucas Ford climbed up from the lower decks. His face was covered in soot. He held a small datapad. We can make warp in about 2 hours if we baby the engines. After that, it's a slow limp to the nearest colony dock. We won't fall apart before then. Samuel gave a small nod. Good. Tell the crew to rest when they can. We earned it. The bridge grew quiet. People looked at each other. Some smiled, tired smiles. Others stared at the floor, thinking of friends who did not make it. 3 crew members had died in the fighting. Their bodies were in the small medical bay, wrapped with care. The living felt the weight of every loss. In the mess hall, Brian Cole sat alone at a table. He pulled out the photo of his daughter again. The little girl smiled up at him from the picture. Her hair was in pigtails. She held a stuffed bear. Brian touched the photo with one finger. We did it, kiddo, he whispered. Daddy's coming home. Word of the battle began to spread even before the horizon reached safe space. Old relay stations picked up fragments of the fight. Traders in distant ports heard rumors first. A single human ship had stood against the Zorath and won. At first, people laughed. It sounded impossible. Then more details came. Sensor data leaked through neutral channels. Video clips showed the horizon dodging beams, firing back and tearing apart cruisers. The laughter stopped. In bars on a dozen worlds, aliens raised their drinks in quiet respect. On a rocky moon called Tarsus IV, a group of resistance fighters gathered around a cracked screen. They had lost their homeworld to the Zorath years ago. Now they watched the human ship fight. When the Iron Fang exploded, one fighter, a tall female named Lyra, stood up. "If humans can do that," she said, "so can we." The next day they attacked a Zorath supply depot. For the first time in years, they won. Back on the horizon, Samuel called everyone who could walk to the main cargo bay. The space was small and cold. Lights were dim. About 40 people stood or sat on crates. Samuel looked at each face. He spoke in a low voice that carried to the back. "We did not ask for this fight," he said. "But when it came, we answered. You all fought with everything you had. Engineers kept us moving when the ship wanted to die. Gunners hit targets no one else could. Medics saved lives under fire. Every one of you mattered. We lost good people. We will remember them. But we also showed the galaxy something important. Humans do not break easy. When the odds are bad, we get smarter. We get tougher. We get meaner if we have to. Today the Zorath learned that lesson. They will not forget it soon." He paused. His voice grew softer. "Thank you, all of you." No one clapped. They just looked at him with steady eyes. Then one by one, they went back to their duties or their bunks. The ship felt different now, lighter somehow. 2 weeks later, the horizon reached the edge of human space. A fleet of rescue ships met them. Big carriers with fresh engines and full repair bays. Doctors in white suits came aboard. They took the wounded first. Samuel stood at the airlock and watched his crew leave one by one. Grace walked past him. She stopped and saluted. "It was an honor, Captain." Samuel returned the salute. "The honor was mine." He grinned despite the bruises on his face. "Next time, let's take a bigger ship, yeah?" Samuel laughed quietly. "Next time, we bring friends." The horizon went into dry dock. Repair crews swarmed over it like ants. They cut away broken plates. They welded new ones. They pulled out fried wires and put in fresh ones. The ship would fly again, stronger, meaner. On Earth, news channels showed the battle footage over and over. People gathered in streets and homes. They watched in silence as the small gray ship danced through fire and won. Children pointed at the screen. "That's our ship," they said. Adults felt pride swell in their chests. For the first time in a long while, humanity felt united. High Command called Samuel to a secure room on the main orbital station. Generals and admirals sat around a long table. They asked questions. Samuel answered them straight. No bragging, just facts. When he finished, the room stayed quiet for a long moment. One admiral leaned forward. "You stopped them, Captain. One ship. What do you think comes next?" Samuel looked out the window at the blue planet below. "They will come back, but not the same way. They know now we can hurt them. Other species know it too. The Empire has cracks. We just made them bigger. If we stand together, with everyone who hates the Zorath, we can push back. Maybe even win." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Then we start building bigger fleets, better weapons, and alliances." Samuel returned to his quarters. He sat on the edge of his bed and looked at a small model of the horizon on his desk. It was old and chipped. He touched it gently. Far away, on the edge of Zorath space, surviving ships limped home. Admiral Krazer lived, but barely. His face was burned. His pride was gone. He stood on a new bridge and stared at empty space. But the fear had changed. Now it pointed both ways. In quiet moments, Krazer thought of the small gray ship. He thought of the human captain who refused to run. He thought of the day the unstoppable became stoppable. And somewhere in the deep black, the USS Horizon rested in its cradle. Repaired, ready, waiting. One warship had changed everything. The galaxy took notice, and humanity stepped forward.